Well, if you're smart, you will have like a health scare. You'll end up in the ER, or you'll have an accident, or you'll end up in jail. You sober up, and then you're like, I'm never gonna do that. It was stupid. I'll never do it again. But you will do it again, most likely. And it takes permanent damage, I think, to stop for a lot of people. It takes literally not being able to do that anymore to stop. Because the temptation's always there. If you're fine physically, and I was fine for 10 years, you always, this arrogance comes back. The arrogance of, oh, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I can handle it, I can deal with that. I'm not a little bitch. And then, you're on your knees, you're on all fours, just vomiting. And then you're like, damn. I voluntarily ingested this, and I let it make me a bitch. And then not being able to quit is what makes you a bitch. Because it's not masculine, it's not manly to be drinking massive quantities. It's a lot tougher to be able to do that and to just say no. Yeah, when you're younger, you can get away, exactly. You can get away with it longer, but it catches up real quick. It's literally a demon. I don't really believe. Like I'm not a super strong believer in the heaven and the hell thing. But man, if you've been through withdrawal, if you've been through like some real spirits withdrawal from spirits from hard liquor, that thing feels. I think that's the closest thing to hell. If hell exists, that's what it feels like. Probably times 100. It feels like literally demons have come to personally torture you, mentally and physically. And it literally takes 3 days to resurrect yourself, to resurrect your body. Like I've had moments where I've spent 3 days in bed, unable to not having enough energy to even turn to the other side. Just in pain, in misery. No, I wasn't eating any food because I couldn't keep anything down. I wasn't drinking any water even for 3 days. It's like a literal dry fast. And then on day 3, day 4, I'm like a brand new person physically. It's wild. It's wild how much this thing poisons you acutely. And all the sickness comes out, and your sweat smells like. And I have a hard time smelling things. I don't have a strong sense of smell. But man, you smell like death when you come out of this thing. And everything is just negative. There's this vicious loop of intrusive negative thoughts that's and flashbacks and cringe memories just replaying non-stop in your head, torturing you non-stop, not giving you a second of a moment of peace, a moment of silence. Everything, your entire nervous system is like extremely sensitive, because I think it's your body knows it's poisoned, and it's making you fear everything, just to kind of preserve you. It's like a self-preservation instinct almost. It's really wild. It's like everything is amplified. Like fear is 1,000 times stronger when you're withdrawing. It's nuts. It's like one of the wildest experiences that I've been through 100 of them. And after a while, you're just like, you know that meme with the dog, where a dog is in a burning room, and everything around him is just burning, and the dog is just saying, "This is fine." That's what it feels like after you go through withdrawals like 50 times. You just let the demons torture you. Just try not to let it affect you, because you literally become desensitized to this shit. It still sucks, but you've been through it so many times, you've developed like a really strong mental spine. But would not recommend it. Because that, after, I think, I'm no longer, I don't think I can, I've stopped counting days because, you know, I did drink a little bit, enough to break my sobriety streak, and there was a withdrawal, even though it was mild. I literally fell sick after that, after I drank. Like, I had a fever and I was kind of sick for half a week. I was like, how could I do this to myself for so long? Like, that became a normal. Feeling sick became normal. Yeah, that meme with the dog. I don't know if the dog was drinking like a coffee or something. And the dog's like, the room is burning. But the whole house is burning down. The dog's like, this is fine. That's exactly what it feels like when the anxiety no longer gets to you, because it's just a feeling. And when you go through withdrawals like 10, 20, 30 times, you're like, you know what to expect. It's not gonna last forever. Until you go through so many withdrawals that you start, like my last few withdrawals, the heavy ones, I was like, okay, I'm losing my mind, like literally, whilst being calm. You know, I wasn't freaking out, but I was like, this might be it. I might be unlocking schizophrenia. Could very vividly imagine a voice that was not my voice. It was not saying things that, you know, how people have internal monologues and all that, or have intrusive thoughts. It was like a voice that came from within, not from the outside, like a schizophrenic. But like, it was very vivid. Like, when you don't sleep, when you're sleep deprived for a couple days, and you can start, because of the anxiety, because your nervous system is like super strained, you can kind of, your imagination is unlocked and you start not hallucinating, but it becomes very easy to imagine things. It's almost like you're lucid dreaming while you're awake. And that voice, man, it would say nonsensical shit just to piss me off. Like, and I realized that it was part of OCD, actually. It wasn't like a schizophrenia thing. It was more like I was causing it. Kind of like giving yourself a little torture, a little pain. How many years was I drinking daily? Every single day, probably the last 5 years, maybe 6. 2019 is when I got drunk for the last time. I was drinking vodka. And after that, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna... That's the first... So I started drinking in 2012 or 2013. And that was, you know, when you're young, when you're in your early 20s, you're kind of like chasing numbers. So you feel kind of cool and manly when you can kill a gallon of beer or like a whole bottle of vodka. I was chasing numbers until 2019. And that's stupid, because after a while you get drunk, your face goes numb and tingly, you can no longer enjoy shit, you just fall asleep. And I was like, I'm done doing that. And in 2019 I started drinking mostly beer, and that's when I started drinking daily. So 5-6 years of daily drinking. Like, I had periods where I drank just a half gallon of beer, just like your standard, I guess, 8 pack, 6 pack, and then it progressed to a 12 pack and then a 24 pack. Though in my country they sell these large 2 liter plastic bottles. That's what I bought because it was the cheapest stuff you could get. That doesn't taste disgusting. That you can maintain a buzz on, and I would buy 2 of those most days. I would need most days. I would need a gallon to feel content, to feel satiated. That's 4 liters, and to make the day super interesting and super colorful and super fun, I would go for a gallon and a half or 6 liters. And on days when I felt super edgy, I would go for 2 gallons or 8 liters, which is kind of a lot. I think I have it under control. I'm pretty certain that the whole thing is in the past now. The binging, well, I call it marathon drinking, but it's. I think everyone. I think in the Anglosphere, you guys call it a bender when you have like a stretch, like a long stretch of time where you drink every single day for like weeks, months, years. And it got to a point where I was able to do it every single day for like half a year, and then just be able to quit turkey it because it was just beer. But that's actually the dangerous. That's what's dangerous about it, is when you master it to a point where you can function, kind of, like, no one can tell. Besides the smell, if you took away what I assume is like the breath, the smell of ethanol on your breath, if you could take that away, and if you could get rid of the pink eye, which gives you away almost every single time if you've been overindulging. If you could get rid of those two signs, you could never be able to tell. Never that I had consumed. I was that good. The tolerance was just sky high, and I was gaining a lot of weight. And when you gain weight, you got more water to dilute the alcohol with in your body, and you train up your liver, and you can drink. Like, the numbers stop making sense after a while. I could be up to 2 gallons, 3 gallons, and I was pretty good at pacing myself. So it was like a months long state of euphoria where you kind of start losing grasp on reality almost. Like, the daydreaming world and the real world, kind of, the borders between them become very blurry. But as you age and as you keep doing this stuff, I actually read recently that with each intoxication and with each withdrawal, it adds up and it damages your brain, basically permanently. The more you do it, like, the more severe the intoxication and the more severe the withdrawal, you mess with your brain's wiring. And each successive withdrawal becomes worse and worse and worse, and you can actually lose your mind and become psychotic, develop schizophrenia. But, like, alongside all the other problems you could unlock, can mess you up for life. But that's beside all the organ damage, all the kidney damage, all the liver damage, all the heart damage. Like, I didn't know that your heart, if you abuse it with alcohol for long enough, your heart literally, the muscle droops, your heart droops physically. that was kind of scary. But the physical stuff, that's the funny thing about the drinking, is that once the withdrawal is over, it's kind of like your memory wiped. You don't remember the withdrawal, but you also don't remember what it's like to be buzzed, to be tipsy. And that's a huge trap. That's a lot of calories, yeah. But I wasn't eating. That's the thing. In general, you have two types of alcoholics. One type drinks, and when they drink, they don't eat. And that's usually the type that stays like super skinny. And the other type is they drink and they eat. And I've been both. Because it depends on how you're feeling, really. Some days I'll plan out my day like, oh yeah man, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up super late and I'm gonna load up on booze and you plan it, you romanticize it in your head, and then you sit down and you're just kind of sick. You mentally preparing for it for so long makes you physically sick in the stomach and you can't drink. But yeah, I got skinny fat, and because I got used to the drinking and feeling sick, and I started eating alongside the drinking because it makes you like hungry. It lowers your blood sugar, makes you hungry, and you gain a lot of fat. Like, you lose muscle and you gain fat. And my fattest was 200 pounds, or about 90 kilos of just skinny fat. And that was not a good look. Yeah. And then there's the super skinny dudes, the super skinny chicks who they got magical stomachs. They eat and they drink and they stay skinny somehow. But for me in general, is when I drink, I kind of don't really have much of an appetite, especially with spirits. And also, you have to remember that alcohol has this thing, not to get super scientific, but there's this thing called a thermal effect, which is how much your body burns, how much energy your body burns to break down a certain food or a certain substance. Like alcohol's thermic effect is like 20%, 25%. It depends. Like the more seasoned alcoholic you are, the more effectively you're able to break it down and extract more calories from it. But let's say for the average person it's like 20%. That means that if you consume if you drink 1,000 calories worth of, say, vodka, your body's only able to process 800, because the rest is just wasted trying to metabolize and digest this. I always prioritize maintaining a buzz over getting smashed. Because like I said, you just cannot enjoy anything when you get smashed. When I have my own definition of what it is to be drunk. Because it doesn't matter what it says on the breathalyzer. Because you can be, if you have super high tolerance, you can get into some digits that you shouldn't be alive at those levels. What's the point of, unless you're trying to forget? I understand those drinkers. I've never been that kind of drinker myself, but if you're drinking to forget, then yeah, obviously you're gonna prefer spirits and you're gonna chug. Nothing wrong with that. If you've been through some traumatic stuff and you're just trying to forget, and man, some people they cannot fall asleep normally, so they literally put themselves into a coma with the drinking, which over the long term it messes up your health big time, because you're not actually sleeping. You're comatose. Alcohol just destroys your sleep and the nightmares you get after you quit. Because I think it was something to do with compensating for all the REM sleep you didn't have. So once you quit cold turkey, after drinking for like weeks and months and years, you get bombarded with nightmares, like the 10, 20 nightmares in a row. And it's like your biggest fears, and they're very vivid, very lucid dreams as well, like super lucid. I've dreamt through some nightmarish, like your relatives will show up in your nightmares and start accusing you of stuff. You'll get lynched. Demons will be eating pieces of your flesh. Everything nightmares that you can imagine is gonna happen to you in those nightmares. It's the ultimate persecution in those nightmares. It's your every single fear that you've ever had will just bombard you non-stop in a single night. That's why I don't want to start drinking again. All that recovery, man, it takes a really long time to lose the fat. It takes a really long time to start sleeping like a normal person, you know, actually going to bed and not twisting and turning for 3 hours, not having restless leg. That thing killed me. The restless leg thing. It's infuriating shit. Now I can just literally jump into bed and be asleep in like 5 minutes. It's magical. I haven't had that sleep that good in a decade. Sleep is really big. Like, it decides my whole day, what it's gonna be like. So the way I stopped is because I'm not very smart, I'm stupid. I ended up in the emergency room. I ended up in the hospital after drinking 4 liters of vodka. And I didn't stop. That didn't stop me. I kept drinking for a year after that. And what actually stopped me is I started going insane. And I was like, okay. Like, physical stuff I can kind of tolerate. But losing my mind, I can't do that. And I was like, I'm done. I can't do that anymore. Running out of time, getting old. I can't do that. You have to reach a point. No one can tell you how to stop. You have to that has to be your decision, otherwise you're not going to stop, man. If someone forces you, you're going to resent them. Or you're going to sober up for a while, then you're going to keep doing it again. It has to come from within. Because, like, honestly, this is the curse. If something's making you unhappy, if your driver is unhappiness and depression, you know, that's gonna be your crutch. For me, it was, I'm hollow on the inside and I don't feel anything unless I drink. That was my motivator. I wasn't depressed or anything. What it sounds like for you is like I drink very lightly, but I can stop. I take a drink of beer at least 2 times a week. Well, that doesn't sound like a super bad problem. Doesn't sound like you are an alcoholic. I mean, like, mentally maybe, but you're not in trouble physically. Most people drink twice a week. You just can't stop. Yeah, I mean, if something's making you miserable and that's your little thing, eventually, you know, there's gonna be a point where for most people it's like a health issue, which it's not gonna happen for you probably because you're a light drinker, or your girlfriend. I think she's gonna say, you either stop drinking, but your drinking's not that bad. She's gonna say, pick between me or the alcohol, or I'm gonna break up with you or something. And if you think she's some kind of burden, if she's burdening you more than, like, if the benefit of drinking is a more positive thing than the negative of losing her, then you're just gonna keep drinking and you're gonna lose her. But that's how usually how things are. People get to a point where they have to make a tough decision. For me, it's either you lose your sanity or you stop drinking. So I stopped drinking. For you, there's gonna come a point where you're either gonna have a problem at work, or with your girlfriend, or with your health, or with money, which is, funnily enough, when you run out of money, you magically stop drinking too.